Good morning, Jay. All right. Good morning. We are, hang on, hang on. Okay. There we go on the live. Hang on one second. I got to do this. Today on the live, we're going to be talking about the esoteric meanings of a couple of things, okay? Why is that important? Well, if you're really sensitive about religion, you probably don't want to watch this live because you probably believe in the delusion, okay? But if you want some reality, we'll give you the hermetic knowledge today on the live. All right, let's do this. Okay, I just had to do that. So, hermetic knowledge. What is hermetic knowledge? Well, hermetic is a cult. Okay, a cult is not like a cult. Okay, it's different. Occult is hidden knowledge. Esoteric knowledge means hidden. Exoteric is the knowledge that they feed the masses. Okay, it's the beautiful stories. Okay, and sometimes those stories are about good and evil. Okay, sometimes those stories are, like, okay, good guy, bad guy. So we have God, then we have Satan, and then we have, we have the angels, and we have the devils, and then we have the demons, and the, okay, and then people start going, wait a minute, what's going on? Okay, I've never seen a demon. Okay, the only demons I've seen exist in human beings. Okay, so Satan is not a devil character with a pointy tail and a pitchfork. Okay, that's not what Satan is. It's the Hasatan. Okay, what is Hasatan? Well, when you go back and you look at the ancient Hebrew, okay, it's the opposition. It's the opposer. So what does that mean? Well, you have dark and light. You have good and bad. Okay, it's the paradox of life. Okay, now, in politics you have the red and blue. It's just another illustration of that. Okay, but you have people on both sides. Okay, so you have people on the dark side, you have people on the light side. What happens when, people get too dark? Well, they tend to move over to the light. Why is that? Because the dark doesn't work. It doesn't work for a long period of time. Bad things start to happen to people in the dark. Okay, they go through very harsh circumstances. Okay, I know because I've lived in the dark. I've been in the dark. Okay, I visited for a few years in my early 20s. In fact, it was my late teens and early 20s in the dark, sleeping on the sidewalk on the side of a movie theater. Okay, it wasn't pretty. Okay, now when I look back on it, I go, I wasn't really angry at God. I wasn't really angry at anyone. I kind of looked at it as an adventure, but it was difficult. It was a hard adventure with hard lessons. And some nights I went to sleep hungry. Some nights I didn't have anything. Okay? And when I started to relax my thinking, okay, my rigid black and white thinking, okay, when I started to relax that, guess what happened? Life started to give. Life started to give, okay, because life is here to give. Okay, practice of divination, fortune telling, witchery. Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Thank you for that. Not your average yeah. You're absolutely right. Okay, so the Hasatan or Satan is the opposer. It's the opposer to the light. It's the opposer to God. It's the opposite of God. Okay, but Satan is not the person with the pitchfork and no. It's in here. It's the energy in here. Okay, because you have both. Because you can choose. You can choose to be either on this team or that team. Okay? And when I did not, or when I was not flexible in my thinking, what happened? Well, I got sucked into the negativity, into the dark, okay, into the bad space. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, good morning, good morning. That's not what I'm promoting. No, you haven't been here. You need to hang out and you need to Yeah. This is not about the story. This is not religious stories. Okay, this is more fundamental than that. So, yeah. But I appreciate you being here. So, if you have something constructive to add, please do so. Okay, because the kingdom is within. Okay, not out here. Okay. So, now we're going to talk about the esoteric meanings, okay? Because religion gives you stories. Okay. Now religion is not, I'm not here to say religion is bad or anything like that because I'm a Christian. Okay. And what I'm here to illustrate is how you, as maybe a non-Christian, maybe a non-religious person, can use the Bible for your benefit. Okay. And you can use the Bible to gain wisdom. And you can use the Bible to understand what Jesus was talking about. But if you go by the story and not by the esoteric knowledge, you can be misled, because a lot of people are misled, and they're misled into, they're misled into hatred. They're misled into the dark without knowing it. Okay. And they're in the dark without the knowledge that they are in the dark. And they strike out without, okay, because Jesus taught two things. Okay. Jesus taught, love God more than you love yourself, and love thy neighbor as thyself. That's the only thing Jesus was teaching. Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of stories. Yeah, there's a bunch of parables. Yeah, there's a bunch of this, that, and the other thing. Okay. But it's in story form. And if you believe the stories, or if you're chasing the stories, good luck with that. Okay. So now, the esoteric meaning of Satan is just the opposer. What is the opposer? The opposing energy. Where is it? It's in here. Okay. And why is this important for manifestation? Okay. It's important for manifestation because once you understand this, once you understand the concepts of manifestation and how it happens through your subconscious, okay, you understand why, when you believe these stories that are put before us, okay, stories that create division, okay, stories that create animosity, stories that hate, okay, promote hate between individual human beings, because we are all one. We are all one awareness. Okay, we are all one inside. Nobody's different. Everybody's the same in here. We all have different personalities. Okay, there's 8 billion of us on the planet, and there are 8 billion different versions of perception. Okay, but this part is scientific. Okay, but the spiritual part of it is, you're not your body, you're not your name, you're that spirit that lives in here. Okay? And that spirit that lives in here is of God energy. Now, can you belong to the absence of God energy? Sure, absolutely. And most human beings make decisions that take them back and forth. Okay? But when you have this misconception that, oh, well, Satan is this horned devil with a pointed tail and a pitchfork, and he guards this place called hell, and, like that, okay? Then what happens is it throws your manifestation off. Why? Because now your faith for one thing cannot be fear-based, okay? If you're in some kind of organization or religion or association that is teaching you things through fear, that's not the thing, okay? Because that's not what Jesus was teaching. Jesus was teaching the opposite of that, or love. So for you non-believers, okay, whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, either way, you're a believer, okay? But for you non-believers, just understand that there's so much the Bible has to offer in the way of knowledge if you know how to interpret it. And if you don't go by the story, okay, if you go by the story, then yeah, good luck. So when God says, when it says in Genesis, God spoke the world into existence, that's a clue. That's a major clue, esoterically. Okay, because you can speak things into existence. How? Through your subconscious. How does that work? Well, if you keep speaking something, negative or positive, doesn't matter what it is, when you put it with emotion into your subconscious, it starts to become a belief. When that happens, the subconscious looks for a way to make it happen. Your reticular activating system in your brain starts to focus out the things you're not focused on. So what do you start to see? What do you start to experience? What do you start to hear? What do you start to become aware of? Whatever it is that your reticular activating system is filtering in, and those things that your reticular activating system is filtering out, you don't notice. This is why you have that phenomena. It's not a phenomenon. It's the way you work biologically. Good morning. Hey, sup? Yeah, Manuel. Hi, Manuel. And then who's it? Chill McGill. Sup? Good morning. That's how we say hello in Hawaii. We say sup. Okay, what's up is it's short for what's up, like that. And this is a shaka, by the way, for those of you in other parts of the world. Okay. So that's how you work biologically. You were engineered this way. Okay. But if you get caught up in stories, if you get caught up in political jargon, if you get caught up in what we call the physical world, okay, because there's the physical and the spiritual. The spiritual is in here. You're not your body. You're not your name. You're that spirit that lives in here. And you have more power than you think, which is why we teach you how to manifest. Okay? It's not a witchcraft thing. It's not a voodoo thing. It's not a, okay? It's none of that. It's none of that. It's your biology. Okay? But how do we justify, let's say, an evil energy? Ooh, sounds bad, yeah? No, there is evil energy. And it can sweep over you, and it can tug at you. Okay? It's the absence of love. The love energy you were born with, okay? So that is the Hasatan. That's the opposing energy, okay? Because that energy is just the absence of God energy or love energy, okay? However you want to, describe that, okay? So how do you feel when you're positive? How do you feel when you embrace the love energy within you? You feel good. And what happens? Frequency is determined in the human being by their feelings. Okay, that's why the Indian philosopher Shanakwa said, your feelings are your God. So when you feel good, right? Good things happen. Okay, what about when money starts going out at, in the middle of the month or between paychecks or whatever? Things get stressful. Why? Because you're seeing things go out instead of come in. You're feeling the absence of rather than the abundance of. Who taught you that? Oh, the physical world, right? Because the physical world tells you that you're depending on the paycheck, you're depending on the position, you're depending on the degree, you're depending on the education, you're depending on that job. And then what happens when the job goes out? What happens when the paycheck money is slowly disappearing? Okay, there's alarm, there's concern, there's all of that, right? But all of those things are rooted in fear, okay? Okay? All of those things are rooted in fear, not love. So what do? What's the solution? The solution is to bring yourself back to abundance, to bring yourself back to that love energy. Okay, start with gratitude. Start saying thank you. Okay, start saying thank you. Now, we also interpret energy as feelings. Okay, so I work with 3-year-olds sometimes. Sometimes, not all the time. This last 3-year-old, the last 3-year-old I worked with, her grandmother brought her to me. She goes, nobody else works with 3-year-olds. They all have to be 6. And I thought that was crazy. And she goes, you're the only one that teaches 3-year-olds. And I'm like, interesting. See, because I stay in my lane. I don't pay attention to what other people do, what other teachers do. I don't go to websites and hang out and see what the competition's doing. I don't do that. Okay? But here's my opinion. If you cannot relate to a 3-year-old, if you cannot teach a 3-year-old, you shouldn't be teaching because you're not a teacher. Okay? There you go. Okay? If you're that lazy that you cannot accommodate a 3-year-old intellect, something's wrong with you fundamentally. Okay? Those people are just lazy. 3-year-olds are amazing. They're amazing. Let a 3-year-old watch whatever it is they're interested in on YouTube and watch them develop. Watch them chase that desire. Okay? The only thing they need to have is an idea. Once they get the idea that, oh, I like that, I think that's cool, right? This is why you see 5-year-old drummers on YouTube, because they've been doing it for a while, okay? And this is one of the things that is pushing society forward, okay? And there are some things that are pushing society back, okay? But there's always balance. There's always balance. Sorry, I have a chat on this side. Growing up, all our babies were potty trained at 2. Now they're all in diapers until what? SCH. I think that's a misspell. Now they're all in diapers until what? Yeah. Fix that sentence. Oh, until school years. Oh, until school years. Okay. That depends on their parents. That depends on their parents. That depends on who's raising them. Like I said, some people dismiss 3-year-olds. Okay, these are highly intelligent beings. Okay, 3-year-olds. Okay, they just can't express things like you do. They just can't speak like you do. They haven't learned how to do that yet. Okay, but 3-year-olds are amazing. And in a couple of months, this grandmother looked at me and she goes, "Wow, I can't believe you did this with my granddaughter." And I'm like, it's your granddaughter. She's gifted. But how do you get these gifts out of children? Well, first of all, you have to communicate with them at their level. You have to understand fundamentally what they understand and what they don't, and how to communicate. Okay, and that's all. Okay, but today we're talking about esoteric meanings of things. Okay, so Jesus said the kingdom is within. Okay, and he said the kingdom is within so you don't go without out here. But because of the separation of the spiritual and the physical, what do? We start looking out here for solutions. We start looking out here at the physical world and modeling our lives after what we see here because, oh, this must be evidence, right? This must be the thing. You know, the degree, the position, the job, the corporation, whatever. But the magic in your life is in here. So many people don't get it, right? My clients get it. Sarah gets it. Amazing work you do. Oh, thank you. Thank you. School years. Yeah, school years. Sorry. I'm working in real time here and my brain is ADHD, so I don't always put things together that quickly. Thank you. Sarah's here. Sarah, my client Sarah on the chat. I have several clients that are here on the chat every morning. They get it, but they didn't get it before they got pulled out of it because you cannot see it when you're in it. It's very difficult to see it when you're in it. So I'm just here trying to wake people up, okay? Because what you've been fed, the diet that you've been fed, okay? So diet is not just what you eat, right? Diet is what you see. Diet is what you hear, okay? And I'm talking about from religion, from government, from politics, from everything. TV commercials, radio commercials, they all keep you in a certain state. And this is what we call societal hypnosis. Okay? So when we talk about a hermetic framework of Satan, okay, we just happen to be talking, we're not going into religion per se, we're going into hermetic knowledge. Okay? It just talks about adversarial principles. Okay? Energy that separates, energy that resists, energy that tests, energy that accuses, energy that crystallizes these things. Okay? Negativity. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what we're talking about. Now, how do you change these things? How do you get past these things? How do you avoid these things? Well, first of all, you have to get pulled out of the societal hypnosis. First of all, you have to see that it exists. Okay, it's very difficult, but you can do it. Okay? Here, this is the 50 percentile. This is positive, this is negative. How difficult is it to pull yourself this way into the positive? Not very difficult at all. Here, like this, 1%. Now you have 51%. Now the majority of your life is positive. Okay, and this over here is the negative. Now you're at 49%. Can you go 55%? Can you go 60%? Whoa, 60%. That's a stretch, but yeah, you can. 60% positive. Think about that. 80% is really, really tough. That's a lot of work. Most human beings are comfortable. They get comfortable, right? We get comfortable. Why? Because 95% of our lives is subconscious. We don't have to put any effort into doing this. So human beings resist change. They don't like change. Why don't we like change? Well, because it's different. We're used to this. Why are we used to this? Because 95% of our life is a repeat. It's wash, rinse, repeat every day. And this is comfortable. This represents comfort. This is the comfort zone. 95%. Okay, that's a huge percentage. When we were taught to be fearful, it is hard to see truth where it exists. Exactly. And the fear is constant. We're all hypnotized. Yes, we are. And the fear is constant. Okay? You get fear in the news every day. Okay? On this thing, you get fear every day. And you're scrolling. And you see different things, right? You know, oh, the military is doing this. Okay, there's the military industrial complex, the medical industrial complex, all of these things. Okay? And you see all of these things. And pretty soon, if you react with enough emotion, it goes into your subconscious as a belief. It's that simple. So is undoing it simple? Sure. Yeah. But you have to do it in repetition. You can't be lazy. You have to work at it a little. You don't have to work at it a lot. It's not that difficult. Okay? I got tricked into it by my first mentor. Okay? And the way he did it, okay, was he goes, hey, tomorrow when you come to work, okay, because I used to work with him in a truck washing company. We used to wash, high pressure wash, 18-wheelers. He goes, you think tomorrow when you come to work, you can just do your job, no drama, no grumbling, no, right, like that, and just do your job and then like all day and have a positive day. And I was like, one day, right? I was like, okay. So every time I felt like bringing up something or talking about something or someone or discussing someone, I said, okay, no, hold it back. And I held it back that day, the first day. The second day, he was like, at the end of the day, he said, wow, you did really good. That was amazing. I was in my 20s. I was like 23, 24. He goes, you think you can do that tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, whatever. Okay, because I had a bad attitude. I had a defeatist attitude. Everything was wrong in my world to me. Okay, so I said, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. Second day, same thing. At the end of the day, he said, wow, this was amazing. 2 days in a row. You think that you can do this tomorrow? And at that point, I was like, oh, we're doing one day at a time, right? Can you explain how we are all hypnotized? Sure, I will go over that. And those 2 days turned into a week. That turned into a month. That turned into 6 months. That turned into a year. That turned into 5 years to 10 years, and it never went back. Why? Because my mentor had rewired my brain. Okay? Can you do it? Sure. one day at a time. You don't have to perform miracles. Okay, that was Jesus's job. Miracles was his job. Okay, you don't have to do that. That's not your place. That's not your job. Your job is to experience what it is you came to the planet to do. If you don't know what your purpose is, you need to find out. Okay, get one of these, get a tablet, and start writing. Start asking on paper. Ask. When you ask and you believe in your asking, you will receive. It's that simple. Now, let me go over the, for you guys, scroll enough and you can't concentrate. Yeah, Rivi, ask God, what is your purpose? Okay? Or you don't even have to direct it to God if you don't want to. Okay, it depends. If you believe in God, yes, ask God. Pray and ask for your purpose. Okay? Ask, believe, receive is the formula no matter what, because you're a human being. Okay? So let's discuss the societal hypnosis for a little while. Okay? I'm looking for my pen because I think I dropped it somewhere. Anyway, so the societal hypnosis, okay? After you've been conditioned, okay? Conditioning is a thing. You get conditioned by radio and television commercials. You get conditioned by things you see online, okay? So I spent 40 years of my life part-time in media. Okay, I had a press pass. I could cover news events if I wanted to. I didn't. Okay, but I was qualified for all that stuff. Spent a lot of time doing comedy on the radio. Okay, and you can look it up. Just put my name in any browser and you'll see it. You'll see all the things that I've done. Okay, and the reason I've done a whole bunch of things is because that was my interest level, not because I was out there trying to be Superman. It's just I have this one life, okay? I only have one life, and I want to do all these things. I want to experience all these things, so all I do is live my dreams, okay? And that sounds crazy, okay? It might sound crazy to some of you, but to me, spending my whole life in one occupation or one profession and doing one thing and then getting a gold watch and a thank you party at the end and then going on a few cruises and dying is not my idea of a life. But that's me. Okay, some people are very comfortable because it's safe, right? It's safe. You go to college, you get a degree, you get a right position, you get a profession, you do that all the way until you get old in your 70s or whatever it is. I don't know what the retirement age is. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. Then you retire and then you play for a while. And then you die and leave everything to the next person in your family or whatever, right? Okay, to me, that's not a life. I want to try and experience everything I want to experience, okay? So anyway, the hypnosis. When you get conditioned, okay? So here's what we know as far as data in the commercial world. Okay, let's say it's TV commercials, okay? It takes 2 weeks for the subconscious, and this is subconscious study. This is, it's part of neuroplasticity. All of these things apply, okay? But it takes 2 weeks for you to see a product or to see something online and go, wow, that looks cool. Because the first time you see it, it's like, okay. Second time, it's like, Third time, it's like, that's pretty interesting. And it kind of goes like that, okay? And this is why radio stations have like a 20-song playlist. You know, you listen to radio stations, you hear, I did programming for a while. I did radio programming for a while. And I brought my radio station, little small hole-in-the-wall station, to the #1 slot on Sundays against all the big radio stations, which was really funny because when I got hired by another radio station company after that, they knew me as the guy that beat them in the ratings with my little hole-in-the-wall radio station. So, and I, I didn't think about it. Nobody gave me an award for it. It was nothing to be recognized for. Okay, we just did it. And I did it with a handful of ethnic people, Filipino people. And we beat the big guys. Okay, which was really cool for them. Okay, as people that came from the Philippines, and all of a sudden they're beating American stations in their own native language. It was pretty cool. Okay? But it takes 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, you go, wow, that's a good product. In 2 weeks on the radio or television, you go, wow, yeah, I need that product. Yeah, that would be good for me. And then you start to consume it. Okay? Now, radio stations that run the same 20 songs, why do they do that? Because they want to make it popular. So first they listen to the CD of whatever artist and they listen for potential songs. What's the potential of this album? I've seen albums get turned away from radio stations that could make them popular because there weren't enough good hooks on the album. What's a hook? A hook is the chorus of the song. You know, the part that makes you sing along, that part, okay? The chorus or the bridge or whatever, okay? The theme of the song. And sometimes they go, no, there's not enough, and they put it on the side, okay? And sometimes, of course, they, required envelopes. What? Envelopes? Yeah, they got bribed. They got envelopes. They got money in envelopes and whatever. That influenced the decision, but, okay, and that's not the part I'm not talking about that part of it, although it exists, okay? But I'm talking about the fact that when they play a song, it goes into your head, and then guess what? You start liking it, okay? There are landmark songs in the Hawaiian market, in the Hawaii market, that I was a part of in the very beginning. And when I first heard the songs, I was like, whatever, right? And then I started liking the song. The general public started liking the song. Why? Because they played it over and over and over. Okay? So if there's a 20-song playlist, there's 11 songs in an hour. Okay? So in an hour and a half, you've heard that song twice. Okay? Think about that. Do the math. Now you're talking about a 24-hour day. You're talking about when you drive to work in the morning, you hear the song. When you're driving home in the afternoon from work, you hear the song. Guarantee. Sometimes twice, depending on how long your drive is. Okay? And if you hear a song 3 or 4 times a day, guess what's going to happen? You're going to like that song. Okay? Eventually. Because you keep hearing it. Pretty soon you start tapping your feet to it. Pretty soon you start, oh yeah, I like that. And then you go download it, right? Or you stream it. Okay? I have 9 albums online that make money in my sleep. Not because they were popular, okay, but because people look me up. People, I'm in the iTunes library, right? They look me up. They stream my music. They don't necessarily buy too much music anymore, but they stream it. And so I wake up every once in a while. I don't even check, but every once in a while, I go and look. I go and look at the digital platform that I use. And I go, oh, I received the check. I don't even know I received the check. It just goes into my account. And I go, oh, okay, that's cool. But I look at the platforms that people are listening to my music on. So there's YouTube, right? There's Spotify, there's iTunes, all of these things. And I'm not even popular in music in that way. But because I'm there, it gets consumed. And some people come to me and go, yeah, hey, we like your music. What was really funny, and this is a side note, but this is a lesson for those of you who do music, okay? I suggest you just get your things up on iTunes so you can make money, because people listen to all kinds of stuff now. It's not like the old days. Okay? And how you make money in your sleep is by having products there. That's it. It doesn't matter if it's music, doesn't matter if it's on eBay, doesn't matter if it's on whatever, okay? There's all kinds of people in the world, and one man's junk is another man's treasure, okay? So some people listen to my music, they're, oh, that's junk. I'm good with that. Why? Because there's a bunch of other people that go, no, this stuff is, I like this song, this means something or whatever, okay? So anyway, I'm not here to flex or anything like that. I'm here to tell you that yeah, you can too. Okay? That's the whole purpose of me living my dreams, is to show other people that they can. Because once I discovered that I could, that's all I did. Okay? And this was way back, like in 2007. And that's all I do now. That's all I do. If it's not part of that, if it's not part of my dream, I ignore it. And that's ignorance. And I'm good with that because I stay in my lane. Okay? And when you stay in your lane, what does that mean? That means you only occupy yourself and your thinking and your desires to what you like, right? What's the alternative? Well, you're distracted with all this stuff. Oh, wow, so-and-so has a grill. Oh, I need a new grill. So-and-so has a brand new car. Oh, I need a brand new car. Oh, so-and-so has a... No, pay attention to what you want. Pay attention to what's in your kingdom. You are the king or queen of your kingdom. Pay attention to this. Don't be distracted out here. If your life purpose is something, in my case, it's teaching. Okay, I change a lot of lives. Just go look at our listing on Google. Okay, we only have 5-star ratings. My other company, Voicemaster Vocal Development, we only have 5-star ratings. Why? Because I teach human beings and I know how to teach them. And as a result, their lives change, just completely in a matter of a couple of weeks, boom, different. What is it, witchcraft? No, it's intelligence. Where's the intelligence? In my clients. They just have to be pulled out of the mess. Okay, so that's the advertising. Okay, that's the social media feeds. Why? Because it makes you think. You're good at thinking. Okay, I don't care who you are, you're good at thinking. If you're a human being, you're good at thinking. You're not successful at anything, maybe you're too distracted, because if you focused, okay, so manifestation depends on applied focus. If you focus on something, okay, I focus on people. I donate time to people. Okay, I work with people. I love people. Okay, to